In a corporate world where all employees have great leaders with no egos that create fun cultures where people can do their best work, the employees and companies thrive while doing great things for the customers, themselves, and each other.
Well, we know that rarely happens. I'm Jeff Palacio. I have been a leader for over 40 years for every t-shirt size company, from small 16 employees to extra large over 1 million. Please join me while I interview outstanding leaders that will share stories of great leadership and not so great. It will help you become a better leader while poking fun about all the crazy shit that happens in corporate America. Welcome to a special edition of the Corporate Couch. These episodes will be more of a love seat that focuses on one topic and will run 15 to 30 minutes. For each special edition episode, you will hear from one or more outstanding leaders sharing their expertise on the most important challenges in corporate America today. Rick, welcome back to a special edition of the Corporate Couch. How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's
Yeah.
great to be back, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing great. You're in beautiful Austin, Texas, and we're recording March the 5th, and we had blizzard-like conditions here in Kansas City, 70-mile-per-hour winds and about 2-3 inches of snow. And I have found out this year that a blizzard is not really about the amount of snow. It's the duration of over 35-mile-per-hour winds while it's snowing. It doesn't matter what how high the snow is. So there you go. We learn everything on the Corporate Couch. But
we got hit with that storm. We didn't get any snow, but we got like 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. It actually blew a segment of my fence down. So
yeah,
I got a project to do this weekend.
There you go. There you go. Well, good thing you keep yourself in shape. So, yeah. But so last episode we focused on your near fatal car accident in that classic Honda Accord or Accordion, I think it was the actual name of the file name you sent me. But yeah, we talked about your journey and the long journey to health and how you got into the Egoscue method, I believe. I probably mispronounced that, and how you eventually got back to great health and started your company that you've been, basically working in various different names for the last, 20 plus years. So we touched on it last episode. You're there to help people either with their pain or to increase their, in functional performance. As we discussed, I'm a client. Even though I'm in Kansas City and you're in Austin, but I work with your team, Teresa specifically, and I think you have told me in the past 70% of your clients are on Zoom. But and we touched on this last time. There's different types of therapy out there. Alexander technique, Feldenkrais, Rolfing, and I've used all of them, mainly physical therapy and chiropractic with the great Dr. Michelle Robin here in Kansas City. I think people want to learn more about how is your technique, the postural therapy, different from all the others, specifically, physical therapy and chiropractic.
Certainly. Let's talk physical therapy and chiropractic. And those are both terrific tools. And I refer to physical therapists and I refer to chiropractors, and I have both who refer to us. So I don't want anything I'm about to say to be construed as being negative about those therapies. They're both great tools. The challenge is, are they the right tool for the right problem? If you need a 3/8-inch hole in your wall and I hand you the best hammer in the world, it doesn't matter how good a hammer it is, it's the wrong tool for the job, right?
Right.
So let's talk specifically first about physical therapy. And this is a significant oversimplification of physical therapy, but in general, they want to stretch what they perceive to be tight, and they want to strengthen what they perceive to be weak. I really don't want to do either of those things. Why? If something's tight, you know what happens if you stretch something that's chronically tight. It might feel better for an hour or two, but then it kind of goes right back where it was, right?
Sure.
So now it's a 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Years ago, I had a dad bring his 15-year-old son in who played high school baseball at a pretty high level. And I was taking him through some assessments. And when I asked him to touch his toes, he could not get his fingers below his knees. And I looked at that and went, okay, this guy's pretty locked up. And I said, you know about this, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm working with a trainer at the school and we're stretching every day. So then I asked a rhetorical question. Well, how's that working for you? Right? And he's like, well, it's not getting any better. Muscles don't go tight just to make you mad, right? They typically go tight because something else in the body is not doing what it is supposed to do. So I don't want to stretch something that's tight. I want to figure out why it's tight, and then I want to go address that. So now the muscle no longer needs to be tight, and then it'll either unwind on its own, or now it will be responsive to stretching. Let's take a muscle that tests as weak. Muscles can be weak because they're just weak and they need to be strengthened, but more commonly with our clients, they'll test as weak because the joints they attach to are out of position. And if a joint moves out of position, it will take the muscles that attach to it, and roughly half of them are now going to work even better. They're going to want to work all the time, even when they shouldn't. And the other half are not going to work even when they should. So that muscle will test as weak. So what do we need to do in those cases? Let's get the joints that that muscle attaches to back in a proper position. So now we restore the ability of that muscle to work to its full potential. Chiropractic. Chiropractic is amazing. I've got a terrific chiropractor here in town. Shout out to Symmetry Chiropractic in Cedar Park. But if all you're doing is chiropractic, well, let me back up. They want to do the same thing we want to do. They want to get your body in as sound a postural alignment as possible, but they're doing it by adjusting you from the outside, right? If your muscles are working against the chiropractor, then what's going to happen is they're going to get the adjustment. You're going to feel much better. And you're going to be like, "Ooh, that was great." And then a day or two later, you're going to be back where you started because your muscles are sitting there going, "Let me know when you're done. And then I'm going to pull you right back to where you were." So chiropractors love us, at least the ones who aren't trying to just see you for 2 or 3 times a week for the rest of your life. The ones who want you to get better. They love us because now we get your muscles working with the chiropractor instead of against them. We help train your body and your musculoskeletal system how to turn the right muscles on to pull you back into a proper postural position. So we're kind of training your musculoskeletal system how to be its own chiropractor. And when we get a referral from a chiropractor, what we always find is that they adjust more easily. It takes less force to get an adjustment, and now they hold that adjustment much longer.
So I know what my journey has been with Align Pain Solutions, but like how long does it take to see positive changes? And I know there's no average person, but what kind of what does that usually look like?
So when I have a client ask me, how long is it going to take before I feel some positive change? I'll tell them, look, man, I think you're going to walk out of here either out of our home studio if it's an in-person visit, or once you get up out off of the Zoom session and start walking around your place, and your body's going to be feeling and working better that first appointment. I expect change pretty quick. We can affect change in 20 or 30 minutes. Now, we're not Jesus and the lepers. We're really good at what we do. And I'm not saying the pain's going to be gone, but clients will typically feel their body's working better. Their symptom is going to feel like it is improved quite often for the first time in years. And we expect that to happen pretty quickly.
Interesting. Yeah, I know for me, this you definitely feel something immediately. Like even after the assessment, it's different. And I see you guys for not so, it's not pain. It's really to improve my functional performance.
Sure.
And the new routine I went through, a couple of weeks ago, I definitely have noticed my hips and my back. And I don't have hip or back issues, but I notice much more. I really feel like I'm gliding when I walk, so it's fantastic. Um,
Yes.
yeah, talk about, you mentioned something about a postural blueprint. Talk about that.
So the postural blueprint. So our bodies are designed to be in a certain space. And what is posture? Posture is not your mom nagging at you to sit up straight at the dinner table. It's where does your body want to go for stability? And when we look at a client, like for example, when I booked my very first appointment, I think I mentioned this at our first podcast. I asked, "Do you want me to bring my MRIs?" And they're like, "We don't need them." Right? They don't show what the problem is, they show the result of the problem. The problem is your body has lost postural balance. And we're going to see that just by looking at you. So they looked at me, took posture photos, and compared what they saw to this postural blueprint. So why don't you go ahead and bring that up? And it's super simple, and I'm just going to walk people through it. So what we see here is what we call the posture blueprint. This is the ideal of where our body should be at in space. Now, the first thing I want to say is nobody's got perfect posture. Nobody. And the goal is not perfection, but the goal is to get people's bodies as close to this standard as possible. This is not rocket science. Let's go through it real quick. In a front view, the first thing we should see is the right and left sides are mirror images of themselves. We're designed to be symmetrical bipeds. So feet should be pointing straight, directly under knees that point straight, under hips that are level, and under shoulders that are level. Weight should be evenly distributed. So you see that dashed line between that model's legs, and then it goes straight up and turns into a solid black line. That should be going right through the middle of the body, through the belly button and right between the eyes. Now, side view, if we connect the dots between the front of the ankle bone, center of the knee, center of the hip, center of the shoulder, and back of the ear, that should be a vertical line that's perpendicular to the floor. It should be straight. Now, nobody walks into our clinic looking like this. The question is, where does their body want to go for stability? So I want to address a real world example of how somebody differed from this blueprint. And then you asked a great question earlier. Well, how long does it take to affect some change? I'm going to have you show some before and after posture photos from the first visit. So these are not a week or two apart. These are 90 minutes apart. And it's going to show this client's issues and how quickly they can begin to improve. So why don't we go to that next slide? So this was a client who came to us and his primary symptoms were a couple fold. Number one, major neck pain. And then he had major significant nerve referral down his left arm to the point where when he drove himself into the clinic for this visit, he had to only have his right hand on the steering wheel because it just hurt too much to have his left hand on there as well. So if you look at the figure of him on the left, that's at the beginning of his first visit. Now remember that line, in this case, that red line should be, we started out right between the ankles, and then it should go right through his belly button. It should go right between his eyes, and it's barely touching his head.
Right.
All of his weight is over on the right side. He was hyperloading his right side, and his left side, if you look at his waistband, you can see how it rides up as it goes to the left. And now that left hip is higher than the right hip. We had to give him the movement necessary to retrain his body how to be able to get back on top of his left side in a functional way. And we took him through his 20-minute corrective exercise routine. And the figure on the right is him 90 minutes later. It's not perfect, but it's a whole lot better, right? That line is almost going through his belly button. And now there's another 3 or 4 inches of his head that had moved to the side of that red line. He's much closer to being centered, especially with neck pain. Often the biggest deviations we'll see posturally will be in the side view. So let's go to that slide.
Before we do that, I want to go on record to the audience. This is not me, by the way. Just want to go on record. Although I had some similar pictures.
So here, look at the figure on the left. That vertical red line would ideally be touching the back of his ear. It's 3 to 4 inches off the back of his head. His head was so far forward that the muscles in his neck were doing tremendous work constantly to try to keep his head upright. And as those muscles got tighter and tighter and tighter, they attach to bone. They attach to the spine, the bones of the spine. And now they start to pull those bones out of position, which then pulls the discs out of position. This guy had a herniated disc in his neck, his cervical spine, that was pushing on a nerve and causing the pain down his left arm. We had to get him back in a more vertical position. As the head goes forward, the amount of work that the body's doing to support that, it increases exponentially. Think about it this way. The head weighs about the same as a light bowling ball. If you put your fingers in a bowling ball and you hold it straight up, you bend your elbow and you just hold it straight above your elbow, you could probably hold it there for a minute or two. But if you angle that bowling ball forward 3 or 4 inches like his head, you're going to be able to hold that for 5 or 10 seconds. And now the smaller muscles of your forearm are going to fatigue. That is what was happening with his neck. We had to restore his ability to be vertical. And now you can see after his appointment, now his head position has come back about 4 to 5 inches. It's not where we want it, but it was much, much better. And he walked out with his neck pain about 75–80% better, and the nerve referral pain down his arm was almost gone. So this illustrates both the concept of posture, where the body should be in space versus where sometimes it wants to go, and just how quickly we can affect change. And we can create these same results whether we're working with someone in person or whether we're doing it by Zoom.
Yeah, I could definitely relate to this also because I had a little bit of neck pulling forward and some issues, no pain, but just stiffness. So I can definitely relate to these pictures and the results. So it's great work by you and your team. Yeah, this is all great information, and I really love the kind of the explanation. And it's just a tool in your health toolkit, right? And there's other ways you can help yourself, but this makes obviously total sense to me since I'm a client. But any other words of wisdom to summarize your thoughts on this?
So, yeah, I just want to leave people with a couple thoughts. One of the things I found so empowering about this therapy as a client, and I love it just as much, even more now as a practitioner, is the position that your body is in. It matters. The ability of your body to feel the way you want it to feel and function the way you want it to function is first and foremost based on what position is your body at in space. And people will often ask, well, how the heck does somebody get posture like the guy we just looked at? Your posture devolves, deteriorates because we don't feed our bodies enough quantity and variety of movements. Like for the adults listening to this podcast, when's the last time you climbed something? When's the last time you got on your hands and knees and crawled? Right? The way we move now, we move so much less than we did 50
Yes.
years ago as a species, right? So what we do is we look at where their bodies are at in space. We look at how they're moving in terms of functional movement, dysfunctional movement, and that tells us a story about what muscles aren't doing what they should do. And we give their body a motion fill-up. We use our special exercise library to give people the motion their body is missing so it can come back to the blueprint. And that is a very empowering concept because I was unable as a client to directly heal my herniated disc. I had a herniated disc. But what I could do was change the position my body was in by doing some simple exercises on a daily basis. So, number one, if you hurt, I want you to think not what is wrong with me, but what is my body trying to tell me? Pain is never the problem. Pain's a message about the problem. And our job is to help you interpret what it's telling you and respond to it intelligently. So I would recommend to your folks, you can test your posture in a couple ways. Stand in front of a mirror and just look at yourself. If you're a guy, just wear a pair of shorts, pop your shirt off, stand in front of the mirror, stand naturally, don't pose, and compare what you see to that blueprint we just showed you. If you're a woman, maybe wear a sports bra and stand in front of the mirror and do the same thing. And that'll give you a sense of where you're at in a front view, right versus left. And then a great way, simple way to test how you vertically load from the side view, go stand with your heels up against the wall. It should feel as comfortable and natural as standing in the middle of your living room. And for most people, it doesn't. Notice, where does it feel hard? Where does it feel like you're really working? And that's giving you data about where your body has lost balance. And if you want to fix it, man, we'd love for you to reach out. And you don't even have to become a paying client. We've got a number of free resources. We'd be happy to guide you through those. And if you want to get really aggressive and get your body working as well as it can, we'd love to help you do that too.
Yeah, and as we talked about in the first episode, Corporate Couch listeners obviously get the free 30-minute consult, $25 off a single therapy visit, or $100 off an 8 or 16 visit package. So, and I know you have a YouTube channel. I'll post that in the podcast description. But Rick, I just love your attitude and your expertise in helping others. And for me, it's all about, movement is the medicine, and your health is your wealth. So thank you for helping people in this journey.
Thank you so much for helping us get the message out. And it's all about trying to help more people live their best lives. Have a great rest of your week, Jeff.
Thank you for listening to this special edition of the Corporate Couch. If you enjoyed the episode, I would love for you to take 2 minutes out of your day to rate us 5 stars and write a review. Please join me weekly, where I interview great leaders that share their career journey and their leadership wisdom.